I know Trumbo's going to get most of the attention at the end, but Adam advancing to second on that fly ball, how key is it?
It's, it's either a home run or he's going to catch it. You take a little gamble in case it goes off the wall or something, but that much hang time. That's another example of a baseball player play that analytics won't ever evaluate. Those are things, that's how, so separating and evaluating really good players like Adam. So many little things he does. So that was another example of it. It's anticipating plays and figuring out some way to go 90 feet. A lot of things happen there, but, Nova's good. I mean, he's, fifth in the National League in ERA. You can see why. I mean, I tell you, Ray Seary's got a great reputation. You can tell that he's a different pitcher than we saw with New York.
Scope has, I guess, 11 RBIs in the 7th inning or later. He leads the team in that. I know some of that is luck and guys being on base, but is there something to kind of maybe him maturing a little bit as a hitter and dialing it up late in the game?
What you see is John takes information in from his previous at-bats and applies them later on in the game. It's a learning curve. A lot of times it's, John's not one of those guys anymore that, what's the definition of not being completely sane is just having the same things happen. John watches how people are pitching him, what he's doing wrong, and, he makes adjustments to the patterns and what they're doing. And it's one of the challenges of playing team you don't see hardly ever. It seems like we saw him 20 times in the spring. I was kidding our guys. Most of our guys have seen all their pitchers in the bullpen. There's that group that went to Bradenton all the time. But I think that's a sign, is that he takes, the things that are going on with him and makes some adjustments to them and tries to do something else different.
Gosman had a kind of interesting performance in the second inning. He was really rough.
I'd say rough statistically. I will say this, he gets a chopper anywhere else and it sneaks through the infield, and then he gets a broken bat flare the other way. I say just off the end of the bat, and then McCutcheon, fights the ball off, maybe broke his bat into right, and then I think he gave up one hard hit ball that inning. So, I kind of take that with a grain of salt, but that's what happened after that. He kept us engaged in the game.
Look, I know the game was won on a single, but is this the type of team that is constructed to come back from a deficit because of its power?
Well, on paper, but it's hard to do that if nobody's on base. The one that really got us in there was when somebody was on base in front of John. Chris's base hit off the left hand was big. And, that guy's had a heck of a year. Their whole bullpen, they got 3 guys down there. If you look at them statistically, they're pretty impressive. And so I look kind of at what set that up, because the other ones were solos. They were good. They got us back in it and, got some, we're fortunate that Darren and Brad and Michael had all had 3 days off. So, Michael had a big inning too, but, it's, you talk about power to get back in game, but it's also somebody getting on base before somebody does that.
What kind of feeding off of that? How much more damaging can this lineup be with that power? Like you said, if guys start to get on instead of those.
Yeah, and that's so. What comes first is kind of like chicken and the egg, but it's part of it. It's kind of all the way through baseball. It's a bloop and a black, bloop, a hit by pitch, and all of a sudden, it's life in the big leagues. That's the first thing that hit me when I got to the big leagues was how quickly leads could go, because there's power all the way through lineups, including theirs. So I don't care what team you're talking about, that potential is always there. That's why guys who can pitch effectively in the last 3 innings are so valuable.
I know you don't want to use a word like luck, or when you talk about Kevin and all those balls off the end of the bats and stuff going through the infield. But I mean, is it come down to him, or just the game situation? Is that so many hits end up falling in when you wouldn't expect it to?
Yeah, I was looking at the stats and stuff on him today, and it's just not reflective of what he's capable of doing. You look at the hits to innings, and then you see some of those happen. So it takes a strong constitution to keep grinding through that and not give in and say, wow, I don't think he'd ever say, wow, we. But, every once in a while you kind of, they're human beings. They go, gosh, what do I got to do here? And I tell them all the time, you got to stay true and keep grinding and keep pushing, and the baseball gods will be kind to you. I tell you, go back first inning, they hit some balls hard that we caught. And there were harder balls hit in the first inning where the inning gave up the runs.